Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Crossover Podcast. It's a bit of a background change. I kept getting interrupted in the study room, but today I'm here to review the new Charli XCX album titled Brat, and it's completely different, but it's still Brat. It's the remix album of Brat, and Brat, if you know me, one of my favorite albums of the year. I love what Charli did on that. I think the production was phenomenal. Her performance was great. Really cool aesthetic, and I really like what she did overall. So, jumping right into the remix album. So, jumping into the first track, 360, featuring Robin and Young Lean. So, I really like the original on this one. I didn't love the remix. I don't hate it. I don't think it's a bad song, but it's not something that I would choose to listen to over the original. I don't really care much for the Robin feature. Young Lean's feature was pretty catchy. I do find myself humming his supersonic push-up on it, but other than that, this song isn't very redeemable for me. So moving on to track number 2, Club Classics featuring BB Tricks. This is probably one of my least favorite on the remix album. I didn't love the feature at all. I love the Club Classics original. I like the beat a lot better on that one. The remix was a little bit too repetitive for me. I did enjoy the outro. I thought the outro was cool, but other than that, not many redeemable qualities for this track. Sympathy is a Knife featuring Ariana Grande, the third track on the album. This song is really, really good. I mean, the instrumental is fantastic. Charli's performance was great. And this rivals the original in my opinion. And it's one of the only songs on the album that I think competes with the original. I love Sympathy is a Knife. It's very emotional. The auto-tune on the original on her voice is beautiful. It provokes a lot of emotions, and I think that on the remix it does a similar thing, and I like Ariana's feature. I can't rave enough about the production on this one. I'm not sure who I think A.G. Cook or Easy Fun. I could be wrong. But wow, I mean the production is great. The way they interpolated the original isn't too obvious, but it's also a little it's there, and it's really nice. And I think that this song is probably my favorite on the remix album. And if I were to tell you to listen to one track off of this, it would definitely be the Sympathy is a Knife remix. So moving on to track number 4. I Might Say Something Stupid, featuring the 1975 and John Hopkins. I didn't love this one very much. I didn't like the original song. It's kind of slow. It's not really my vibe. It's not one that I would choose to come back to. But it's a cool song. You know, I can see the appeal for some people, but for me, it's just not something that I personally would come back to. Track number 5, Talk Talk, featuring Troye Sivan. So this one was a single. It's one that Charli and Troy have been promoting pretty heavily for their Sweat tour, and I can see why people like it, but I don't care much for it. It's not really my thing. I think I could be a little bit biased because I absolutely love the original. The production on the original is unreal. The chorus with all the pads and layering. That's probably my favorite thing about the production on Charli XCX songs. It's the layering. It's a very intricate and complex production, and it's really unlike any production that I've heard recently. Her producers, which I mentioned, A.G. Cook and Easy Fun. Charli produces some, but they're killing it right now. So, anyways, back to Talk Talk. I don't love Troy's feature. I like Charlie just alone on this one. I think it's better that way. But like I said, I can see why people like it. But yeah, anyways, moving on to another one of my favorites from this remix album is Von Dutch, the A.G. Cook remix featuring Addison Rae. So Addison Rae as a feature, I would never expect to say this, but it wasn't bad. It's kind of catchy, and her and Charlie have some unexpected chemistry on this one. I think, once again, I know I've been talking a lot about it, but the production on this song is unbelievable. The way they flipped the Von Dutch instrumental, the original instrumental, is great. It's very low key and it's very mellow, but it's a mixture of like a mellow but also upbeat. I don't know how to explain it, but man, it's really good. And this is another one of my favorite songs off this. It's probably my second favorite behind Sympathy as a Knife. I really like the instrumental. I like Charlie's performance, and like I said, Addison Rae feature. It wasn't that bad. As when I originally saw that she was a feature on this one, I was confused. I didn't know what to expect, but you know, I like it. I like the track. I like the track a lot. So, moving on, we have Everything Is Romantic featuring Caroline Polachek, which I've never heard any of her music before. I hadn't heard of her name before this album, or before this song. So, this version is a lot more melancholic than the original. The original is kind of celebrating and romanticizing the little things that in life that are kind of equally, in Charlie's eyes, equally as beautiful as the big ones. And those little things, that everything is really romantic when you look at it through a certain lens. But this one is much more somber, and it's much more reflective, and it kind of sees Charlie in a post-Brat fame. I didn't expect it. I definitely didn't expect it. I really like Everything Is Romantic, the original. I like this one. It's for a certain mood, for a certain vibe, but I think that this song is an interesting remix, or an interesting alternate version. And I think it definitely offers something in this album that we get to see a little bit of in Brat. Brat is very real, it's very raw. Charlie's not ashamed to tell you what she thinks, or how she thinks, or how she's feeling. And in this one, it's the same way, but I feel like we get to see even more introspection from Charlie. On Brat, I think we really saw that in So I, Girl is Confusing, and I might say something stupid, but this, it's kind of intertwined throughout the whole album with her dealing with this post-Brat fame, and I think that it's really cool to see this other side of Charlie, because obviously we see the party girl, we see the DJ side of her, but to see the more human side is always great, and that's why I really like this track, Everything Is Romantic. And the feature is pretty good too. The feature definitely added substance to this track. So we are halfway through the album. Here with Rewind featuring Bladee. Blade? I think it's Blade. I'm honestly not sure. I'm probably going to get, I don't know. Drain Gang fans are very territorial with their artists. I don't know. But we have Rewind. And on first listen, I didn't really gravitate towards this track. I don't know why. But I re-listened to it today a few times, and I like it a lot. I actually think Bladee's feature is solid. I might prefer this one over the original. I really like Charlie's performance. I like the beat a lot on it. This was, upon re-listening, this was a surprise to me because I really liked it. It's a nice flip on the beat. It's kind of in a different tone, like I said, different vein than the original, but it's a good track. And with that said, another solid track is track 9, the remix of So I, featuring A.G. Cook, and the beat on here is great. The little plucking synth in the background that is kind of constant throughout the song a great addition. I really like the instrumental on this. So I is a tribute track to Sophie, her late friend, artist, DJ, producer, songwriter, very talented individual. I think that this is it's a very cool tribute. The original is a little bit slower. This one's more upbeat, kind of still speaking on Sophie and their time together. Her performance is great on this song. The vocal effects, great on this one. She's killing it this year, and this remix album is just even more proof. Brat was phenomenal, but this remix album surprised me, and when I re-listened to it, I liked it more than I did the first time. The first time I wasn't crazy about it. There were a few songs, handful of songs that I liked, but outside of that, there weren't many that I was like, you know what, I'm going to come back to that track. But upon re-listening, I really, really enjoyed it. So moving on, track 10 with Lord, Girl So Confusing. I believe this one was released before the album came out, kind of as a single. I like it. It's probably in the better half of the album. It's a playful beat. I think this is one of the more traditional pop-sounding songs on the album. It's definitely a good one. It's nothing crazy. It's nothing boundary-pushing. Obviously, it's cool to see Lord and Charlie on a track, but this one, it doesn't really stand out to me. It's a good track, but it's not anything crazy compared to what she's put out this year and compared to some of the other songs on this album. I think, when I say it's okay, that could be perceived kind of negatively, but for Charlie's standards, an okay song is good. It just isn't up to that, Sympathy is a Knife level, or the Von Dutch, or the Rewind, So that's what I mean when I say it's okay. So, moving on to track number 11, Apple featuring the Japanese House. I loved Apple. It's one of my favorite songs on the original, so this one, there's not much value. If I'm going to listen to Apple, I'm going to listen to the original. The feature is fine, but this song doesn't really serve a purpose for me, because I feel like if you're choosing between listening to this and the original, I'm probably going to take the original 10 times out of 10. But that being said, not a bad song. Back to Back with Tinashe. I really like this song. I love the production. The production's great on this. The synths throughout are really catchy, kind of make you want to move. I like Tinashe's feature. I really, really like Charlie on this one. Her songwriting is just, it grabs you, and her honesty and realness is something that I gravitate towards as a listener, because I think that these singers are put up on a pedestal, but when they remind us that they're just real people, and they're just like us, they're people just like us, but they just make music that millions of people like. I really enjoy when an artist does that, and Charlie does this perfectly. Not specifically on this song, but I do like this. I do like this track. Additionally, I like this one over the original. I think the original is a little bit too repetitive for me. The back to back to back to back to you part kind of goes on for a little bit too long in the original. But anyways, moving on, we have Mean Girls, featuring Julian Casablancas, the lead singer of The Strokes. This was an interesting one. I didn't expect it to sound how it did. I didn't love the feature. I think it didn't really fit on the song. The auto-tune was an interesting choice. The lyrical content was interesting. I think all around this is just a step down from the original. Charlie was pretty much the same on this one compared to the original. But the feature kind of ruined it for me. And I don't see myself coming back to this one. So, moving on, however, to track 14, which I did enjoy a lot, featuring Bon Iver. Another introspective song. The production is very It's very chilled, very muted, but it's good. Bon Iver vocals in the background are a great addition. I like Charlie's songwriting on this. I like her performance a lot, and as much as I rave about the production, Charlie steals the show in a lot of these songs. Her vocal performance is great on most of them. Her songwriting is really good, and she is the star of the show here. The production, great, but Charlie adds so much to this album, and I don't want to pick on Taylor Swift, but I don't think someone like a Taylor Swift or another big female pop star can make a song or can make a project like this or like Brat. I just don't think that they have the songwriting depth as Charlie does. But anyways, 365 featuring Shy Girl, and I will start by saying this is not a bad song, it's just not for me. I can see why people like it, and it's kind of hard. It's more of a rave song and like a club remix. Maybe that's why I don't like it that much. It's a little bit repetitive. I did like the beat switch leading towards the build up of the beat, I guess it would be considered, but I do prefer the original on this. I like the original a lot. I wish I could go into more depth about the originals and what I like better, but I am gonna reserve that for a review towards the end of the year in the album of the year playlist, which is coming. But yeah, so 365, the feature is it's solid, it's okay, but it's not anything crazy. It's not anything that grabs me. I don't think it's anything too crazy. But it's a cool song. It's maybe not one that would go on my playlist, but it's a good song. But it's one that I can see being played in the club, and that's about it for 365. Now, the last track, Guess featuring Billie Eilish. This is a very bratty, very Charlie, this era song. So I could see this one being on the original Brat with the Billie feature. I think it fits that album perfectly. Not sure how much it fits this one, but I really like the Billie feature, actually. I think her performance is good. I don't love Charlie on this one. The beat is the song's very provocative, and I think that's why I think it fits more with the first. But overall, this is about a 7.5 out of 10 song, so it's a good one. It's not a great one. It's probably in the upper half of songs on this album, but it's not anything revolutionary. Finishing up the track list with Guess. So now I'll give my final thoughts and what I thought about this album overall. So my one complaint is I would have liked to hear a Hello Goodbye remix, because that's my favorite on the deluxe album. Really like that song, really enjoy the production. As I've said throughout the video, this album provides a different side of Charlie than the original Brat. I think this one is more personal, and it's kind of Charlie dealing with she's giving us a look into how she deals with fame, how she's dealing with getting older, maybe starting a family, finding love, that sort of thing, which I like to hear. I do like that she released these topics, this substance on the second one rather than the first, because I think the first one is a great summer album and this one's a better, fall winter album. And I don't know if she did it on purpose, but that's just something that I've noticed. It's a little bit more toned down than the original Brat. As I stated in the beginning, though, if I hadn't heard Brat, I would like this album better, but I think it's such a high standard to compare these songs to the original that I can't help but think, oh, the original, the 360 is such a good song, and this one doesn't live up to it. Or Talk Talk is such a good song. Or Everything is Romantic. I love that song, and this one doesn't live up to it. But I had a hard time kind of separating the two, which is why I wasn't able to view this as unbiasedly as I would have liked. I'm sure that people who watch this might disagree with some of the takes I had on these songs, but that's okay. Your opinion is your opinion. My opinion is mine. I'm just curious to see where Charlie goes from here, because I think she's gained a lot of new fans. I think she's gained a much wider audience, myself included. I didn't really listen to Charlie before Brat, and now I do. And now I love her. Now she's probably going to be on my Spotify or my Apple Music top 5 artists of this year. But I'm curious to see where she goes. Charlie is a great musician, so whatever she puts out, I'm sure will be a great product. My final rating on this album, Brat, and it's completely different, but it's also still Brat, is an 8 flat. I was debating between a 7.8, 7.9, and an 8, but I do like this album a lot. I think there's a lot of redeemable qualities. I think there's a lot of redeemable tracks. She did a phenomenal job with the whole Brat Summer, Brat album, the deluxe, the remix album. She has owned this the last 4 months, really. And Charlie XCX is it right now. She is everything right now. And I really love what she's doing. So, that's all I have today. Shorter episode like I promised. See you guys soon. Hopefully I'm home this weekend. I can record a couple podcasts, get a couple loaded up. And yeah, like, subscribe, tell me what you thought. If you disagree, that's great. Let me know what you think in the comments. If you agree, what's your favorite song? What's your favorite song on this album? Like, share, subscribe, everything. And thank you guys for watching.